bastard.
A lot of space.
Eddie just wants to massacre him.
Go on out there and kill them. Wipe them out. All of them. To the very last man. Violence. Brutality.
Trick-or-treaters are all dead. Isn't it beautiful? Take a walk in the cemetery. Get eaten up by cannibals.
Celebrate Halloween.
Love and kisses. Penny, baby.
Good evening and welcome everybody to episode 13 of Dead Entertainment's live commentary series. Bates here, and with me as always is my co-host of the Way of Life Live podcast and fellow writer for deadentertainment.com, Ray Mungus. How you doing tonight on this chilly May evening?
Isn't that weird? It's been like such a weird situation when it comes to the temperature this week. We go from like nearly 80 degrees down to 32. But otherwise, I will say that aside from the weird temperatures and fluctuations, I'm doing all right. I'm awake, which is something I didn't expect me to be as of this morning. I was a zombie pretty much the entire day. How's it going on your end?
Oh yeah, not too bad. We've been busy with baby crap, so you know that's been consuming our lives the last like 2-3 weeks.
And look at the bright side. You got at least 18 years to go.
Wow. Yeah. Well, if my son turns out anything like I was, it'll be more like 27, 28 years.
Yeah, I mean, I read that on Twitter. You're hanging Marvel posters in his room, so it seems like you're already starting them off right, but definitely on that 27-year.
Yeah, I got to figure out which ones I want to put in there. I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe, because I can't put anything that has like little, any type of creepy imagery. Like I can't put any of my like Captain America posters because that has like the Red Skull and the Hydra symbol, and a little scary for a newborn. But I'm thinking maybe Spider-Man or something, or the Civil War poster I have is pretty cool, and the Totoro poster I have. I'm gonna put some I gotta put some stuff. Maybe the Ant-Man poster. Hopefully that doesn't like create a fear of insects for him.
You gotta look at it this way. I mean, when you have a brand new baby, it's a completely clean slate. So it doesn't know what fear of skulls are because it doesn't know what skulls are. If it grows up around it, it might be a different situation.
Yeah, but I see that somehow not ending well. I don't know.
I hear you. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here.
Yeah, or skeleton's advocate.
Oh yeah, I mean, I started with skeletons. I didn't exactly say put up David Hess's picture yet.
But speaking of Marvel stuff, I actually just got my Captain Marvel print from Grey Matter Art in the mail today. I haven't even opened it yet to look at it. I have to order a poster frame for it as usual. But I think I'm just gonna wait until the Infinity War poster I ordered comes in, and then I'm just gonna order frames for both of them at the same time.
Yeah, let me know what you end up doing with the Infinity War one, because apparently it's not it's an oddball size, and they do make a frame very close, but it's a half of inch smaller than the print, and I don't want to cut the thing down, so I'm very curious of what route I'm going to take. This is poster frame.
Is it 12 by 36?
I don't. That sounds about right, to be honest. But poster frames are really boring to whoever's maybe watching right now. So.
Well, I think if it's 12 by 36, I think the company I use actually makes that.
Very cool. I might have to look into that.
Which is Snapezo, and they offer a 12 by 36 inch, and it looks like 2 different colors, in silver and in black, for $38 on Amazon.
That's not bad at all. I'm definitely gonna have to look into that, because I got my hands on the same Infinity War print, and I cannot wait to frame it. And
well, I'm just gonna warn you: when you buy one of these frames and you see how amazing they are and the quality they are, and just how easy it is to load a print into it, you may never buy another frame from another company again. I'm just gonna warn you now. Because they do end up getting really fucking pricey.
I mean, I will say this though: at the rate that we buy prints and droll over prints, that seems like a good problem to have.
I guess so. I can't even imagine how much I've spent on that company in just frames in the last 2 or 3 years. And I mean, not even all of my posters are in Snapezo frames. But I definitely do need to pick up like an extra 2 or 3 24 by 36s, because I have some in like those really crappy cheap like Kmart frames, and they're awful. They fall apart on my wall all the time.
Yeah, I did pretty good with the Walmart frames, to be honest. The only problem that I ever run into is if I buy them during the summer, the plastic could be a little bit warped because of the heat, which is not fun when you're trying to hang it on a level wall. But beyond that, they've held up pretty well over the years. So, I'm not going to complain too much, but it would be good to have another option, especially since we buy prints and posters all the damn time.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you'll see. You'll buy one, and you may never want to buy another frame from another company again. But we have gone off the deep end here.
And that wasn't a paid advertisement, by the way.
I mean, if they want to pay me, I probably have 10, maybe 12 fucking your frames down here.
You could pay us in frames. That pays for itself.
I mean, I probably got $400 or $500 worth of just their frames in my basement.
Damn.
Yeah, no, they get up there in price sometimes, and they fluctuate. Sometimes you can get them like $20 cheaper, and then they fucking go back up. But anyway, normally, like on the last couple of live commentaries, our friend from Sweden would be joining us, but it doesn't look like he set an alarm and woke up, because obviously he is on a much different time zone than we are. He was up like 2.5 hours ago, but yeah, that was 2.5 hours ago. So I am fully expecting him to just like wake up randomly and just jump on stream. But
that's definitely what's happening.
As of this moment, we will be doing this episode without him. No fault of his own. It is much, much later over there. It is probably like 1 or 2 in the morning for him over there already. So, no fault of his. Especially if he had a long day at work. He deals with fucking like asbestos all day, so.
Sounds fun. Sounds very fun. Sounds like what I deal with, but we're not getting into that. Asbestos on a different level.
So, on our last live commentary, we watched one of our favorite movies. It is almost like a convention staple for us, and that would be House on the Edge of the Park. And man, I can't say just enough good things about that movie. Just how you know, I would. It's funny because when we were like either watching it or getting ready to watch it, um, I don't know if it was Waxwork or Mondo or somebody, or maybe not. Maybe they had released the soundtrack for the movie previously, and I ended up just looking up the soundtrack. The soundtrack is only 2 songs.
Yep, I remember that. That one song that plays continuously throughout the movie.
Yeah, the softer
Probably like
song.
yep, and probably like an end credit song or something.
Yeah, well, no, and the disco boogie song.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's weird that it only has 2 songs.
I could be wrong. I think there's a third song. Um, when David Hess's character is in the pool at the end, I believe another track is playing.
Well, at least it's 3 because that movie definitely. If you watch the movie, it definitely feels like it only has like just a couple. There's nothing else to it.
But tiny soundtrack aside, that movie is a classic that I just really feel like a lot of people don't know about. And this movie very much falls into the same category and vein as that one. This one is older by 7 years? This was 1973.
Mm-hmm.
House on the Edge of the Park, I believe, was 1980. And, well, it was filmed in 1979, and I think it was released in 1980. But Thriller, what we're watching tonight, Thriller, A Cruel Picture, was 1973. And much like House on the Edge of the Park, this is another one of those 70s revenge exploitation flicks, which is it's like our favorite genre, man. We live for this 70s exploitation stuff. And that's why we watch so many of them on this series, because I feel like it's a genre that just is getting forgotten about. Mainly, and I kind of understand why, because a lot of these movies deal with some heavy situations that it puts its female characters in, and in the social climate that we are currently living in, it is not really suitable. But the fact remains that these movies were still made. These movies still exist, and these movies should still be enjoyed on the level of, a movie lover. You don't have to. They're movies. They're escapes. And this movie, this movie's a rough one, but I don't know. Like it's also about female empowerment too. But sometimes, especially back then, for them females to be empowered, they had to go through some shit. And
To say the least.
yeah, and this is one of those movies. Definitely not a movie most people know about. It is a Swedish flick. I actually picked it because I thought Stefan would enjoy it, being Swedish, but of course his dumb Swedish ass is sleeping, so he'll have to watch it with us maybe in August when he's here.
That would be fun, definitely. Getting back to the exploitation genre, how you said it was kind of going away. I think it still trickles out in a way, but at the same time, like I want to say that Grindhouse, the movie Grindhouse, kind of was the end to the genre in a way. Like I don't want to get too into it, but like when that movie came out, everybody tried to start making Grindhouse movies in the same sort of vein. And I know you're talking about the 70s stuff, that's always going to remain, but you know, people misunderstood why these movies were so good to begin with and why they had such a value. And it's because people with barely any money sought, basically went out to make a good movie. And because of the lack of budget, it has its fair share of shortcomings, but those things could also be looked at as charm. You know what I mean? And it's just weird that a movie that dedicated its whole premise to that genre, to that era, is kind of like it was kind of the fall of the genre. It was bizarre.
Well, yeah, kind of in a way, but also you got to remember is that after Grindhouse, we still got great Grindhouse flicks. We still got the first Machete. We got Hobo with a Shotgun. We got Turbo Kid. We still got some great newer Grindhouse flicks after the Grindhouse movie came out.
Agreed.
And what's great about Grindhouse and exploitation flicks like this is they're meant to be over the top and completely like unrealistic. Like that's the whole thing, but in a completely different way than a movie like, let's say, the Fast and the Furious, movies. Those movies are ridiculous with their car stunts and everything, but they're trying to emulate. Well, not really emulate. They're trying to still portray real life, but it's like so over the top real life. You watch a movie like Hobo with a Shotgun or Turbo Kid, they're not trying to emulate real life. They're just like they are meant to be ridiculous and over the top and just completely unbelievable. And that's what Grindhouse was. And it's sad that type of filmmaking is really I wouldn't say it's gone, but it's pretty lost.
It's misunderstood these days. People just don't get why these movies were the way they were, and how to really inject that authenticity into them. It just seems like people are setting out to making, like, with the goal of making a movie that's so bad it's good, but the opposite end of that is it's not meant to be made as a bad movie. It's meant to be made as a good but over the top movie.
Exactly. And I would think like a lot of filmmakers who might be interested in this genre, they're never going to really attempt it, especially the exploitation end of it. You're not going to see rape in movies anymore. It's not going to be accepted, sadly. Like, and I don't mean sadly as like, oh, that's sad, but like, the whole aspect behind rape is to shock you and like to really hit you hard, and that's what these exploitation films were really all about, like the shock value. Like these aren't real, but just because of the social climate we live in, you can't really do that anymore. Well, you can't really do that anymore and expect to get a theatrical release anyway. Put it that way.
Isn't it weird that 10 years ago, like a movie like Last House on the Left remake or I Spit on Your Grave remake, and all these things were in major motion pictures, and now, like, if you even think about attempting to make the movie, let alone get a wide release, it is impossible. It will not happen. But what I love about this, and what you said about the social climate, is these type of movies will fucking force their way back into the cinema in general, because they're going to become the new punk rock in a way. It's going to be the movie that stops, the type of movie that stops all of the safeguards and the boundaries that are being set up by society, and it's going to break them down completely. And dare I say, this climate might usher in a new era of exploitation, grindhousey type movies, because people are going to be sick of the status quo and kind of the things that are being put as these are the only acceptable things allowed to be done within movies. So I have a feeling that film could be heading in an interesting direction. I could be wrong, but that's just something that popped in my head.
Well, no, that's actually a really good point. I mean, it's funny you bring up like the punk rock aspect of it. What was that radio station, that underground radio station? I don't know if it was in England. I think it was in England, that back then was like the only station like with the balls to play all the like the punk rock and everything. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I'm not exactly sure like what like the name of it is, but I know
Well,
exactly what you're.
Well, it was a big thing because the punk rock movement was growing and growing, but no radio station would give them any type of play except for this one underground radio station. They actually made a movie about it, and we're sort of like that too. Like exploitation films, obviously these are old films from the 70s. It's been around for longer than we have, but again, it's like a lost genre, and why I pick so many of these films for our live commentary is simply to keep them alive. Again, these films were made. They exist. They're not going away. No matter what happens currently in our world, these movies will always exist. And I do believe that people should experience them. You may not like them, and that's fine. But if you're into, those weird out there fucking movies that aren't exactly horror, but exploitation and grindhouse flicks really do fall under the horror umbrella just because of the shock value behind them. And usually they're pretty gory, they're pretty violent, and that all falls under that horror umbrella. So while you may not enjoy them, at least if you see them, you're still being a part of the the genre and the whole exploitation movement in general, and that helps regardless. Again, these are not movies for everybody. A lot of them are very rough, very very rough, and this is one of the roughest ones I've seen. But again, it's fucking one of the most fun and empowering, and I'll say that a lot tonight. It's an empowering film. And it's funny. This film was lost for a while, like most fucking exploitation flicks.
Seriously, they found it in some treasure chest.
And who found it and re-released it? Was it Diabolic? Grindhouse release?
Not Grindhouse. Diabolic's distributor. I'm fucking. I can't remember off the top of my.
Well, when they found this film, were there two different versions? Was it the red version and was it the blue or yellow version?
Yellow version. The yellow version, I believe, is the censored cut.
Oh yeah.
And the red version is.
Yeah, red version is uncensored.
Synapse is the people that put it out.
Oh, okay, yep, I know them. And the red version is what we will be watching tonight. It is the uncensored version. It's a longer version. It's a more brutal version, and they do not pull any punches. Now, believe it or not, the star of this movie, Christina Lindberg, does occasionally do horror convention. I have never had the pleasure and privilege of meeting her. You went to a show where she was at. What didn't you?
I missed a show that she was at. She was at the Chiller Theater, I believe, a few years back, and it was one of those weird chillers that I ended up looking up the guest list at like a week after it happened. Like I was like, oh, Chiller should be happening soon. I think it was like an April show. And I went on the website as I normally do to get disappointed with all the guests that I don't care to meet. And I ended up seeing her on the guest list and basically cursed myself as far as not being able to attend, or at least not finding out that she was there. I would have definitely went and met her.
Yeah, it's funny because Chiller was this past week and I completely forgot about it.
See? I mean, I've been forgetting about Chiller for like 10 years now.
But, so, there are people out there who know this film and remember this film and love this film like we do. Hell, I even have a shirt and a standee, and, I'm a really big fan of this film. I've seen it a handful of times. I remember the last time I saw it, I was pretty drunk. I think that just made it even better.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I think we have rambled on enough. Now, remember, guys, we do not stream the movie here. That would be a big no-no unless it was like a public domain movie. But hopefully you guys have secured a copy of the film somehow. Maybe. Doubtful. Not a whole lot of places you can pick up this film, especially the red version. I believe the red version is pretty hard to come by nowadays. But if you do happen to have the film, you have it ready to go, we do a little countdown, and then we all hit play together. That way we're kind of on the same spot, so you know where we are with our commentary. And like always, before we start our movie, go get yourself some snacks, go get yourself a drink, while we play our very grindhousey and period appropriate opening movie.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
That gave me enough time to go get another beer. All right.
Nice.
Got my beer. Got my mule.
Got my bottle of water and my empty Monster can. I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
about making a drink. I thought about making a drink today, but I was like, you know what? That's just going to counteract the Monster. Like, I don't want to get the depressant after I had the stimulant.
I got myself some beers. I got myself a mule. I like my
That's a
new.
good start.
Yeah, it's like my new movie drink. I've been making one like every time we do a movie commentary.
See, I'd have one too, but you're not here, so I gotta learn the trick.
Yes, I am not there.
Radio magic. We spoiled it for everybody.
All right, so I think we are ready to go. Let's get this movie going. So if you happen to have it, which I'm assuming anybody watching does not, hopefully they find it, and then they can rewatch this back, time it perfectly. So in 3, 2, 1, you guys can go ahead and hit play.
These grindhouse movies, they just start. There's never any introductions. They are just like, here's a dirt road, there's the title, and let's rock.
No soundtrack.
No? So far, no, definitely. And we got a real shaky camera. Like, it must have been a windy day that day.
I'm trying to look at the trees in the background.
No, I guess it wasn't windy. They don't look very active in the background.
I don't know if that's the camera moving or just like film distortion.
That's a good point. Yeah, this is an old one. These very, very long shots are always uncomfortable to me. Because it's like, come on, edit something. Like, in the society we live in with this sort of hyper editing, you just, these shots are not normal.
No way, not in the fucking least, man.
But it is nice to, like, kind of take in the shot and just let something happen. It's a lost art. It doesn't happen as much anymore unless you're watching a Tarantino movie. But they never hold on shots too long these days.
No, not enough filmmakers try to be arty like that. But then again, you don't expect that kind of artistic style from a fucking exploitation flick.
Yeah, but oddly enough, sometimes you do get it. Like, I mean, when we were watching Silent Night, Bloody Night.
This
Oh my
is
God.
so weird. I'd like to know what happened to that little girl. Wonder if she ever went on to like have an acting career.
Who knows? Like I was saying with Silent Night, Bloody Night, that one shot where the person is outside on fire.
Oh my God,
and
the
it's
beginning of
shot
that
from
movie.
the inside.
Dude, the beginning of that movie might be one of the great.
They made a decision here.
Might be one of the greatest scenes ever.
Indeed. And what came out of his mouth?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever really understood this opening.
No, me either. It's like he I don't know, was chewing on some giant meaty slug, and then the juice just started dripping out of his mouth.
It's like he just downed like 6 fucking bags of gushers. Or he was nomming on Jason's heart from Jason Goes to Hell. That's what it looked like.
That's also possible.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever understood the beginning of this movie. But I can promise you that this movie makes a hell of a lot more sense than American Hippie in Israel.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And I really do appreciate these movies for how simple some of their shots and scenes are. And that's basically because of like their budget constraints. Like they didn't have money to do anything special, and sometimes that just makes the movie just feel more raw.
It also pushes creativity. If you don't have enough, you have to kind of make it work. You have to kind of use what you have and try to tell a story in that way. And sometimes some of the best stuff comes out of things like that.
Oh yeah, man, without a doubt.
I mean, I remember, I don't like talking too much about short films that I've done before, but when you have a very basic idea and a location, you just kind of just paint the walls with whatever ideas you could come up with on the day, and usually it's more beneficial than not.
That's why I love movies from this era, man. I fucking tell everybody. I feel like I should have grew up in the 70s. Between the rock and the metal coming out in the 70s and the fucking movies, like I am just a child of the 70s that grew up in the 90s.
Yeah, there are not many people that have grown up in the years that we've grown up and have this sort of appreciation for
No fucking way, man.
movies like this, music like that.
I want to pet the bunnies, George.
We got Marianne from Gilligan's Island, right?
Seriously, she really does look like a Marianne. Wow, but she's beautiful. She was an absolutely stunning woman back in the 70s.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God, like a straight easy 9. Just a very girl next door sort of look, very simple, beautiful facial features, great hair, great body, like just an absolute beauty.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And you find that a lot in 70s films. It's just like a lot of the leading ladies in some of these exploitation flicks or grindhouse flicks that never went on to do anything much more beyond them, were just absolute beauties, man.
Yeah, it's also a little bit of a different situation now. Like back then, you had models that were put into movies, and then they kind of had some acting chops. You know, the movies that they chose and the budgets that came with them, those were the downfalls of their careers. But there's some great model to actress ratio compared to now, where you put in a model in a movie and generally they can't act or do much of anything. You know, like there's plenty of exceptions, I'm sure, but I feel as though they tried a little bit harder to kind of um, really be taken seriously as an actress and be able to take that next step.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like today where every movie that came out had a fucking named female actress in it. Your Megan Foxes and God, I don't even know, I guess like your ScarJos and stuff.
For sure. But I'm thinking more of the 2000s era where you kind of had maybe before that, maybe like late 90s, early 2000s, where you had just a crop of supermodel teenagers being killed. There was never any really good acting chops to any of them. Just the looks, just a Dawson Creek look,
Yeah, no, you're right. Sometimes there would be a diamond in the rough. Look at Leprechaun with Jennifer Aniston. Who knew? Who knew her career would go? Who would blow up from there? Hell, even to a lesser degree, Renee Zellweger in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Next Generation.
And it's very true.
Like you just never know, and it kind of goes on to that universal debate for struggling actresses. When they get offered a role, and maybe it's like for some sludgy, slimy, low budget horror film. Do I do this and risk ruining my career before it even starts, or do I do this and maybe look back on this in 20 years after my career takes off and like be thankful that I got this start? I think Jennifer Aniston actually looks back on Leprechaun, maybe not completely fondly, but as a she appreciates it for really getting her start. I know for a fucking fact that Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey forcibly had their names removed from that Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. So
yeah, man, definitely. I also wanted to say that I don't want to sit there and blame the model to actress, for not having a possible, like a good transition into being an actress, but there's a lot of factors in it. Direction, writing, and everything like that. So back in those 2000s, you kind of had just, okay, well, this is the basic gist, go out there and scream your head off. So like a lot of blame can be placed elsewhere. But some of these movies, just like you said, they really start a path. They open that door and then they take full advantage of where their career goes from there. Not everybody's so lucky, but it is awesome when it happens.
I never understood that. You order a bottle of wine or champagne that actually looks a lot more like champagne. I'm pretty sure it is champagne. And, the waiter will come over and he'll open it. It's a brand new bottle. He opens it up and he pours it into your glass. Just a little bit for you to taste. And you taste it. And then, you nod your head that you approve and you want more. Like, I've never seen anyone just be like, this is fucking piss water. Give me something else. Like they just opened this bottle for you. Like you're not gonna.
That could have been that would have been my reaction. I remember I've only drank champagne one time in my lifetime, and I was like, wow, this is what all the fuss is about. This is god awful. So I probably would be the one exception to be like, whoa, what the hell is this? This is garbage.
Oh, you know what? You probably had like a brute or something, man. If you're gonna drink, if you're gonna start drinking champagne or just sparkling white wine in general, you got to start with like a prosecco or an Asti. We usually have Asti in the house. We love Asti. It's so fucking good, man.
One of these days I'll have to try it.
Dude, I'm not kidding. Maybe I will bring down a bottle of champagne to fucking Monster Mania. You can make some cool drinks with like a good sparkling white wine, man.
Well, from my experience, awful. So I would have been that guy that rejected the cup and been like, another, sir, another.
No, I'm telling you. Why is her eyebrow so thin?
Good question.
I just noticed that. Like, they're super thin. Damn. Chicks in the early 70s in Sweden were stupid.
Yeah, not very bright. You know, just get picked up, taken out, wined and dined, and here we are back at the very, very 70s pad.
Dude, look at those fucking chairs. I want those for the studio.
I do, yeah, I kind of do too, but I definitely don't want the color scheme.
Look at the shape. Look at the outline. It looks like a centaur or something. It's fucking weird.
It looks like a lumbar problem waiting to happen.
And it's such a 70s like design scheme too. Like the stairs are right in the middle of the house. The steps going up, smack dab in the middle. Not even pushed off to the side or on a wall. Just right in the middle of the house.
That paneling though.
Yeah, that's real paneling. That's not like our American.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not like faux wood. That's fucking real. I love the low-hanging lamp over the coffee table. Like, how do you not hit your head on that every time you grab something from the coffee table?
I honestly think it's in a good position because, like, it's really low, so you don't accidentally forget it's there. Like every time I hit my head on your ceiling in the studio, without fail. So I do wish that they explained a little bit more than, you know, she's a girl next door, lives on the farm type deal. You know, like if they kind of transitioned how these two met or how she became so trusting of somebody that kind of dresses fancy and has money or seems to have money. You know, I don't think that was well done. But again, this is Grindhouse. You don't really often get those things.
I want them to go into detail and tell me if that's fucking normal to have a bottle of beer or wine in a little like wicker basket, and then that's how you pour it into a glass from the basket. The fuck? I've never seen that. That's not normal.
That's like the 70s version of like a beer koozie. Like, just put it in this. Your body temperature won't heat it up. The shots are very creepy.
Yeah, that is like straight up rape look.
Unsure if it keeps going out of focus because of the age or just a
no, it's
effect.
Yeah, no, that's
Oh, there we go. There we have it. Yeah, that basket is very weird. You have a good point.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And just like that, our friend is out.
It is not a 70s exploitation or a grindhouse flick if it isn't 80 yard.
Absolutely. It just wouldn't be right.
It's funny. The actors are speaking English, but it is not the actor's voice that you are hearing. It is like 100%. It is so clear in these 70s movies, and it's in every single one. They are all 80 yard for some reason. And I think
I've read somewhere that it was because sometimes, like, you ever come across a person that has that like Spanglish, where they talk a little bit of Spanish, a little bit of English, it mixes in.
Hmm.
I heard that the same sort of thing happens with Italians. So, like, in a lot of the Italian ADR movies, they kind of go in and out of an English and Italian language. So the ADR actually they basically fix the mistakes after the fact, but they do it with the entire movie.
Yeah, with every character too. And I'm guessing it's because maybe they know and speak English, but maybe their accents are really heavy and it's hard to understand.
Yeah, very true. And there's probably a factor of, like, it might be required for like, in order to sell it to like American distributors and everything. They might definitely want, oh well, if they hear that it's an Italian accent, they might not think it's an American movie, and there's probably all these stipulations before the sale.
But yeah, no, I mean it was most common in the Italian, grindhouse and exploitation flicks, the
Mhm.
70s and 80s. But apparently in the Swedish ones as well.
Like, when you're not looking at this guy's comb over, he kind of looks like a very young Wilford Brimley.
I got to beat us.
Like, he looks like he's got that vibe to him. So I remember when I seen this movie for the first time, I was absolutely blown away with this concept, that they would kidnap somebody and then hook them on a drug in order to kind of gain control over them. Like, that thought never occurred to me as something that could possibly happen out there. I guess I was blissfully ignorant to the horrors of the world, and this shit happens.
Yeah, it is like not a far-fetched idea, and I'm sure it wasn't far-fetched back then, and definitely wasn't far-fetched now. I mean, it's just the fucking disgusting world we live in.
Mm.
But what I don't understand is, like, I get the, forcing the addiction to a drug to control them. I get that. But when they're already knocked out, um, it's like, how does the drug even work? I mean, they're not feeling the high.
No, but it's all like a brain thing. Like, the addiction will take over and everything, and your body's gonna crave it regardless of whether you're
But
conscious
you, but
or
you don't.
not.
It doesn't know what it's craving. You don't know.
No, yeah, definitely. But whether you're conscious or not, your brain chemicals are still, like, reacting to what's going into your body and how it makes you feel. It might make you rest a little bit easier. And you don't know how long she was out for and how many doses he had, because there was some needles in the cabinet too. So, and this guy's fucking cold blooded too. He's like, I just, like, drugged you, and then I drugged you again, and now I want you to sign a damn contract.
Yeah, it's I didn't see anything about reading it. What a dick.
And chases her to the door and knocks her out again.
She's gotta be hungry.
There we go. See?
Not hungry for that.
Oh, her brain might be.
Yeah, again, like I get it that it's all a chemical reaction within your body, but when you're not conscious, you still don't know what you're craving.
For sure. I just want to point out that her dress matched that couch
I
really
know.
well.
And she looked.
A little too well.
I want to point out that she looked amazing in that dress.
And he needs a woman in his life to really decorate that place.
He looks
You know,
like
like,
a
he's-
weird, like he could be like a distant relative, like John Stamos.
Right?
Right? It's fucking Uncle Jesse, man.
Oh, God. Way creepier.
All right. So even after a couple of doses of what of the heroin that they're giving him, when she doesn't even know what she's hooked on, she would, obviously go through. I don't even know at that point if you'd go through like DTs and fucking withdrawal.
I honestly think it's possible, simply because you're kind of like there's addicts that take it just to go out. You know what I'm saying? Like they kind of go out of their mind and then pass out from it. But I don't think whether you're conscious or not, it like masks what it's doing to your body. This guy is something else.
Yeah, he's determined.
I love that we like explained the entire, like his entire plot and his entire plan like a Bond villain.
I like how when he had to go after her in the car, he had to put his driving gloves on.
Oh man, I also don't think it's him driving because his hair looks a little too. Also, that dress matches the
leaves.
Autumn leaves perfectly.
Yeah.
Now it's even crazier though. Like thinking about this concept, this whole movie overall, I think it could be really like a very successful and interesting movie if it's done kind of like a legitimate dramatic movie if they were to remake it.
Yeah, like an avant-garde sort of way.
Like something that's kind of Oscar bait but doesn't pull the punches.
No, I think you're right. Again, it is a rough, they have to tweak it, but I think they would only have to tweak it slightly. And and it would be like a really dark look into the underground world of, the sex trade and everything.
And that's kind of what I was getting at before we even started the commentary. Like they had some really great ideas, and they just happened to get financed by sleazy people that had X amount of money. They all wanted to get into the movie business somehow, and they're just like, here's your money, take what you can get who you can, and make a movie. And they took their really good idea on a shoestring budget, and they relied a little more on shock, a little bit more on whatever they could get their hands on, and this was the outcome.
How long has she been? She's been wearing that dress for like 2 weeks now.
Yeah, for sure.
She has such an innocent look to her face. Like
She's perfect for this.
Oh my god, the casting was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Looks like somebody that would be in like Scarface. This is Frank's good friend, or is Frank's father.
Or like Frank's crooked cop.
Right?
Oh, man.
Still got that Bond villain swagger to him.
He really does. Which makes sense when you think about it. I mean, a European film with a Bond-esque villain back in the early 70s when the Bond movies were, pretty popular. I mean, that was still what? Sean Connery era Bond?
I want to say, yeah. I'm not a big Bond guy, so I could be wrong.
I mean, I think so.
Another fine example of staying on a shot very, very long. But it also tells a good story, too. What a sleazeball.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're about to get into our very first first scratching, I guess. She got some claws on her.
I like how just like so nonchalant she is about it. She's like, "Fuck this."
Look at that tie.
Hard to be really precise when you're struggling and you're holding the scalpel like that and
God, I think he needs a dose. He is like withdrawing. So there is a fucking interesting thing about what we just watched that I did not know before. Apparently, what you just seen was a real body and a real cut into the.
Well, it looked very real. I mean, even by today's standards. So that does not.
Well, Christina Lindbergh confirmed. This is going from IMDb's trivia, but there was long-standing rumors that it was an actual corpse that was cut into for that particular scene, and it turns out that it was. It was a person that ended up committing suicide, and they were allowed into the morgue or special privileges in order to use the corpse, defile the corpse for the particular scene. And now that sounds like movie trivia or movie like tall tales, but apparently it's true, and that's fucked up.
All right, so I mean, 1973. I actually don't think it was still Sean Connery Bond. His last Bond film in that era was 71. So
Yeah, but even so, like those movies were in existence already, you know. So obvious inspiration.
I'm guessing it was Roger Moore era. Yeah, no, it was. Octopussy was no wait, maybe not. Hang on. No, it was 1974. Man with a Golden Gun, Live and Let Die was 73, and those are Roger Moore. So it was in that transition between Sean Connery and Roger Moore, like Bond era villains.
Fair enough.
Something great that this film did was it made you hate that guy. Like, and it made you hate him immediately on like a fucking like Ramsay Bolton Joffrey level of just pure disgust.
Absolutely. Before the scene continues, if anybody's watching the red copy, I think we're very, very close to the actual pornographic scenes that are going to be taking place in this movie. They've pretty much had to stunt body doubles, from what I read, and to add kind of a more sleazy exploitation kind of shock value to it, they filmed and injected real pornographic scenes for the prostitution scenes, and they're very, very 70s, very, very graphic, and kind of well, definitely off-putting. Not even kind of.
Like, I wonder how she felt when she like was reading through the script and saw this scene. Damn, that guy's got a lot of fucking film.
Yeah, and when did we have like super quick shutters? like a modern day film. Modern day camera.
What method is this for this drug? I mean, I'm not a drug addict, but
Yeah, to be honest, I've never. I'm sure this is a viable way to take it, but from what I've seen in documentaries and stuff, it's usually done different.
yeah, it's usually cooked first.
Mm.
Unless it's not heroin? Oh, it's got to be heroin. What other drug
It
do
is
you?
heroin. He did mention that it was the strongest stuff that you could buy,
Fine
but he
China.
did mention it. Exactly.
Candy makes you a dandy. You must be the dumbest motherfuckers in the dope game. Oh, you mean the game that you run, B?
Oh god, now I want to watch that.
Man, that chick looked like she's seen some shit.
Yeah, to say the least. Oh my god, she's like, her eyes are going right down that camera lens.
She looks like, oh god, she looks like a character, an actress, who was either on Mad TV or fucking Saturday Night Live. I can't remember her name though.
Not sure. They're very specific on the time frame of just like dope sickness and survival and everything else. They're like, definitely 36 hours. No more than 36. 37, I'm done for. She read this scene and she thought this was her Oscar moment. This was like essentially her Quint speech before there was a Quint speech.
1973. Yeah. What was Jaws? Was that 1976?
I thought it was 74. She had the blackest eye.
It was like a doll's eye.
God, now I want to write a Quint speech for fucking this.
Look at this
movie.
guy, dude. I know it's 73, but it looks like he's wearing like Hulkamaniac fucking underwear. Look at that.
Oh,
Like
God, it's horrible.
the writing on it look like the Hulkamania, like Hulk Hogan's like the style. And it was red too and yellow. Oh, it was straight up like Hulk Hogan underwear.
A little too close for comfort.
In the 70s, kissing prostitutes was okay. Everybody did it.
Well, this is one of those high class ones.
Oh yeah, they show quite a bit here, don't they? I don't remember
Oh
that.
no, they go all the way, my friend.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't remember any of this.
Oh, I guess most of the times I've watched this film, I've been pretty drunk.
Yeah, usually. When I say pornographic, I say pornographic.
Nice close up.
Great dissolve. I swear, I gotta get one of those jokes in on every commentary. This sex scene is brought to you by Yankee Candle and whatever those frames are called.
And Snape Zo.
So,
God, it looks like Stephen King.
oh god, don't put that in my head. Apparently, the actual sex stuff is performed by somebody, a traveling couple by the name of Romeo and Juliet, how original, who would travel around in their vehicle and perform live sex shows, and they were brought on for this movie.
How convenient.
Yeah, no,
I bet you they made maybe not a killing, but I bet you they made pretty good money.
yeah, probably.
You
Look at her being all organized with her cash box.
would think she'd put it in like a more secure place. Probably a
Yeah,
good amount of
know?
money in there. Just gonna put it right here on the edge of my bed. Nobody's gonna look in there.
True, true. I'm just saying, if done very artfully, this movie could just take on all the awards.
I honestly couldn't agree more. It is such a fucking, and in every aspect, shocking, powerful, empowering, ridiculous, just and scary. Like scary because this may not look real, but like this shit happens. This is the real world. It is the dark underbelly of the real world. It is still the real fucking world.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And you Google some of the things that happen in the world, and it is terrifyingly close to what you're watching in this movie. Not to mention, factoring in what is that condition? Stockholm syndrome.
Yes.
That's essentially what ends up happening in these situations where, a provider or a pimp or something like that. It gives you what you need, gives you what you want, whether it be a hit or confidence or a roof over your head.
Or sadly, I don't mean this in any sort of derogatory way, like a backhand. Like sometimes that's how, because like some of these women are trained in such a just horrific manner, they don't know any other kind of like positive reinforcement. So that type of physical abuse sort of substitute normal positive reinforcement. It's disgusting. Obviously this is not something we approve of, but it's something people should know that exists in this world. This isn't far-fetched in any means. Back in 1973 and in 2019.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's crazy that they hit on it like this in such a profound way. I mean, sure,
such a raw way. Raw. Like the rawest of the raws. And we've watched many exploitation flicks, and I don't know if there's one as raw and real as this one.
Agreed.
At least the first half. The second half, that shit wouldn't necessarily happen. I mean, I wish the second half of it would happen more often, but I just don't think it does. But like the first half, man, that's straight fucking like some real life shit, man.
I will say the pimp guy he lets her accessorize pretty well. You know that red eye patch matching the new red dress and the white jacket. It's perfect.
Dude, I don't understand how like even with an eye patch, she's still like a fuck. She's just an absolute beauty, man. Ah, it's unreal.
Well, you don't have a thing for pirate chicks?
I love Kyrie Sane.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I love my pirate princess. Yeah, man, they were really onto something when they conceived this film, man. The Swedes, it was, and
It's
it's
pretty
and
funny
it's
too when you think about it. You know, you read about this director. He actually made this movie under a different name because his first movie was such a financial disaster that he couldn't get anything else off the ground. So this was like his big comeback into filmmaking. And then it goes and gets banned,
like everywhere.
pretty much.
And this was a film that rightfully should have been banned in a lot of places. And I don't like it's a movie a lot of people should really see, but when you see how raw, just raunchy it is, yeah, you get why it's banned. Then you watch some bullshit film like Unhinged. It's got an X rating. It was banned by Parliament in the UK. And then you watch that dog shit and you just want to fucking kick a nun and punch a baby. Because you don't get it. You ever see that flick, Unhinged?
I've just heard of it.
I have it on DVD. The fucking... I never heard of it. I saw it in Best Buy one day. And the cover was like, banned in the UK. And I was like, oh, this has got to be good. Oh, God. God, I think the only good part of that movie was like the first 2 minutes. Because I think the movie starts off with a bunch of like chicks showering. And they were pretty good looking chicks. Not gonna lie.
Off to a good start. Off to a good start.
Yeah, no, that was the only good thing about it. Maybe I will bring that and I will torture us in Monster Mania. I gotta find it. It's probably in my garage somewhere.
Let it stay there, or I'm gonna have to track
No,
down
no, no.
Halloween Resurrection.
We already watched that together. Fuck, Swedish karate. I like it.
Can't go wrong.
I like just how fucking focused and determined she is from the very beginning.
All right, so 2 fun facts here. I'm the trivia master, I guess. She did not have a license or know how to drive a car during any of the car scenes. So apparently there was a cop on the floor handling all the shifting and like the pedals and stuff. Other fun fact about the whole shotgun stuff, you see her with the shotgun, obviously throughout the movie. She was arrested once because people thought that she was like a menace. So
that just makes her more attractive, more badass, and just more amazing in my eyes. I hope I get a chance to meet her and just tell her just like how amazing I find this movie and her performance in it. It really is. It's an inspiring piece, despite the atrocities she goes through in this flick.
Yeah, definitely agree.
That's kind of sexist. I've never taught a girl how to drive this thing.
Yeah,
you asshole. Was that money?
Yep.
Why is that money massive?
It looks like fucking food vouchers for some like Popeyes type restaurant.
Dude, it looked like pages torn out of a magazine. They were huge. What is that, Stalin teaching her how to shoot a gun?
Yes, it exactly is.
Oh my god. Look who just responded in the chat.
Oh boy. Hey, at least he was honest, right?
We knew he fell asleep. We can't blame him. He's been good most of the times. If he falls asleep, he can't. Oh, there he is.
Called it.
There, I knew it was gonna happen. Can't blame him for falling asleep. It's fucking, he's what are they? 6 hours ahead, 7 hours ahead, something like that.
Well, you can't blame him, but I will.
I did go to bed early, and apparently my alarm didn't go off.
I called it. I called that shit. I fucking called it, man. I told you. Bully, man. Bully.
What is with all the half-baked references today?
I don't know. They just seem fitting for some reason.
Like
well, I mean, we're about halfway through the movie. We can get you caught up real quick. You still got a good hour of this movie. What? There's a fucking hour left in this movie?
yes.
Okay, all right. Pause the movie really quick.
I can't pause the movie.
When you jump in, we will catch up to speed.
I'll catch you up. You missed
alright.
all the sexy parts, though.
No, it looks like one's coming up.
I will be right back.
Well, he sounds wide awake.
Yeah.
You know what? Watching this movie again now, because I haven't seen it in a couple years. I really need to watch it like once a year, like every other of like one of my favorite movies. Watching this movie now, it's pretty much just a more graphic version of a Law and Order SVU episode.
All right, I'll allow it.
Am I lying? Is it really? Is it not?
No, I agree.
Like, it hits on every beat that an SVU episode hits on. Just, a bit more detail and graphic.
Emphasis on that, for sure.
If Lindbergh did not win some award in her lifetime for her acting chops, I am going to riot, because this girl acted her fucking vag off all movie without speaking a goddamn word. It is one of the best fucking performances like you're ever going to see from somebody who doesn't speak.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up before, and there's plenty of roles like that out there. I mean, you and I have talked on the podcast plenty of times about how Millie Bobby Brown and her portrayal of 11 in the first season of Stranger Things is just completely mind-blowing because she does not speak. She has such an expressive way about her. And you could kind of say the same thing about this, like Christina Lindbergh's performance is,
Unreal, man.
yeah, not only is it real, but like it speaks volumes it speaks volumes the less that she does, because it really captures everything that is being told here, like perfectly.
I mean, like this scene in particular, and I as a man, I just gotta point this out. She's got amazing breast, like fantastic 70s breast, unbelievable. But as an actress, like this scene in particular, like you can really see just how like dead she is to everything. Like she goes into like a victim state, and all without words, and you don't see that almost at all. The only other actor or actress that even comes close to being able to perform at this level without speaking a goddamn word, that's also because he was a pantomime fucking master, was Harpo Marx. And I bring up the Marx Brothers a lot lately because I've become quite a Marx Brothers fan, and Harpo never spoke a line of dialogue in any of the Marx Brothers movies, and he was, he typically stole the show in all of them. It's just amazing what you're able to do when one of your senses is just taken out of the equation completely. You can't speak.
I guess that could be like extremely fitting for the type of movie that we're watching, because we spoke earlier about how, you take away a budget and they're forced to rely on other strengths, and I guess the same thing could be said with an act.
Oh my God, it's amazing how well she adapted to just not speaking and then letting every other aspect of her being just take over and excel in every level. And it's just, for a 1973 exploitation flick from fucking Sweden, it is ungoddamn believable the lengths they went to and just what they got out of this. Like that.
Where are you?
Well, I'm guessing you're in the room. I don't know how you missed that scene.
I was literally just about to say, her holding up the hypodermic needle was such a beautiful shot, and then we just got ass pounding immediately after.
Yeah. But I saw ass pounding.
Okay, so we promise you this is not a porn. So to get you caught up, I'll wait till you're back into the movie and then we'll catch you up. Man, her body is just freaking ridiculous. Is it rape if it's lesbian sex?
I think so, yeah.
As a player, it doesn't work as normal.
So explain this money to us. Did you see the money?
Dude, why is Swedish money in the 70s the size of a fucking, piece of paper?
And is it still like that?
I think I... No, it's not, by the way. It's not, but... Why does this site never work?
It's probably for the best at the moment.
Try hitting the double arrows in the bottom right to reload the video player. Sometimes that's all you need.
That, or you could click the link and we'll give you a time.
Yeah, give me a time.
We are at about 55.
55. Holy shit, I was close.
Very nice.
I pushed, I was on 59 and I was like...
Alright, so you should see a chick in blue with two guys in fatigues.
No, I see a dick.
Wait, no, are we not at 55? Yeah, we're at 55-25 right now.
Oh, okay.
No, I see a dick.
Yeah, that was...
That's the quote of the night.
That was a surprise. Oh yeah, I see fighting guys.
Okay.
You're about to see something else.
Oh yeah. I don't remember these scenes. Why is it every time I've watched this movie, I've just been so drunk that I remember all these. I forget about all these porn scenes.
Yeah, because
I
you're
gave
probably just blanking whatever the fuck I saw out. That was...
Oh.
Now
I gave you the option of the yellow version.
Yeah, well, the yellow version wouldn't be this fun. Look, it's fucking Stephen King. I'm telling you, it's fucking...
Stop.
It looks like Jordy.
You luckhead.
All right, so to catch you up, the chick with the eye patch. So she is our main character. That is Christina Lindbergh. And so she was waiting for a bus or a ride in the very beginning of the movie, and she ends up getting picked up by this creepy dude. And she's a mute the entire movie. She doesn't speak a word. And the creepy dude ends up drugging her and knocking her out, and then getting her hooked onto heroin.
Okay.
And then forces her into prostitution. With as long as she complies, he gives her 2 bags of heroin every day to feed her addiction.
All right.
So she just goes along with it, and she gets to keep most of her money. And what she does with her money is she goes out and she trains herself. She trains herself in martial arts and how to fire shotguns and marksmanship and how to drive a car. She trains herself that, oh, that's pleasant.
I just love your voice slowing down.
She's training herself for her eventual revenge. And yeah, so that's pretty much her story up until this point. You know, she had both of her eyes in the beginning of the movie, and then she kind of defied the dude who that guy right there.
Yeah, that's anal.
A little bit. She defies the guy who kind of like kidnapped her and drugged her.
Yeah.
And he took out her eye.
That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick little scalpel, and there you go. Out comes the eye.
Oh, come on.
I know exactly what scene he's on.
Literally.
It's not that I have much problem with it. It's just woke up and I was like,
this is the best movie to wake up to, especially at this point in the film. But we've been talking about all night about. I mean, if you watch the movie from beginning to end, you realize just how fucking ridiculously powerful this movie turns out to be, and how close to real life it is. It is exploitation, it is grindhouse, but at the same time, it also is like pretty goddamn true to real life. Like, this shit isn't made up. This shit happens. This isn't over the top, at least at this point in the film. This is fucking, the underbelly, dark corners of the real world that nobody wants to admit is real.
oh yeah, absolutely, and especially at the time this movie was made, it was a time where people actually just could disappear like that during the 70s.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so much in like Sweden, but I guess I'm wrong. I would think like Sweden and Switzerland, those were like the places to be in the 70s, man. It's fucking
Yeah, true. But like, if you take places like the USA and the rest of Europe, just disappearing, getting kidnapped or sex trafficked was not difficult. Like, you could just take someone and they would never be heard of again. It happened so many times.
And I imagine it happens in places where you think would be okay. Like you take it for
Yeah.
granted, and you're like, oh, it would never happen in Sweden, and it's probably the easiest place for it to happen because nobody expects it.
People just expected that you ran away or something. Like,
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
during
Especially
the
at that
70s.
time.
Yeah, especially during the 70s.
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking, the hippie movement is still pretty big in the 70s, and drugs like
Yeah.
cocaine and heroin are really coming into the fold, and yeah, it makes sense.
Absolutely.
I mean, why do you think serial killers, like, that seems to be like the golden era of serial killers?
Yeah, that was
And you don't sort of have that thing today as much.
Yeah, no, that was like Ted Bundy era, wasn't it?
For sure.
Yeah. It was not only Ted Bundy, it was like 500 others too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not
it's
as
ridiculous.
fucking infamous Bundy, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but if you read about a bunch of them, many of them had their best years during that time. I mean, when you brought up the hippie movement in general, I mean, a lot of people
Oh,
just went to go
Manson.
find themselves, and they went with different groups and took different drugs, and that shit was preyed upon.
Actually doing some research.
I like how fucking Stalin teaches her how to shoot a gun over here.
Love that zoom in on that shit.
Like, imagine just like this plan of hers is so calculated. It's so ridiculously awesome when you think about it. Yeah, she's going through hell, but when you think about the time and effort she's putting into the other part of her life just to exact revenge, was that American money now?
Yeah, I was looking at that. Either Swedish cash transitioned or that is American money.
That was fucking weird. But when you think about just everything she's doing just to exact her revenge, it's just like this is awesome. Even though she's still going through hell. She's still dealing with her addiction to heroin. She's still dealing with being a forced prostitute. But it's so cool just watching her strength, power up and just become just a force.
Yeah, that is not sweet.
No, that was American money.
Yeah.
Earlier in the film, they had some giant fucking paper,
that was Swedish money.
Okay, why was it so
papers.
huge? How the fuck do you put that in your pocket?
You put it in a manila envelope. That's what you do. That's what they call wallets over there.
I don't know why they were so big, but basically it was because we had coins. Like the value of the money wasn't that. You didn't have the bills usually. You had coins. So the bill was really big, I guess.
What is Swedish money called?
Kronor.
Yeah, I'm not.
Crowns.
What was that first word?
Crowns. Like a king's crown.
just crowns? Like you don't have a Swedish word for it?
Yeah, it's called kronor, but it means crowns, like a king's crown.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can't say the Swedish version of that.
I'm not even gonna try.
Well, that at least sounds a lot better than like the fucking loony. At least we're not fucking Canadian money.
They got the loony and the toonie.
Well, it's funny. I mean, my wife is Vietnamese. You know what the Vietnamese dollar is called?
No.
Called the dong.
Oh god, we're so immature.
And it's straight. I'm not even kidding. It's straight up like pink and blue Monopoly money. And their exchange rate is like ridiculous. You know how much $1 is in Vietnamese dong? It's like
about a bus full.
It is like 27,000 dong.
Wow.
Dude, it seems like that's needlessly complicating money.
Well, they're big.
No. That's what happens when you have a government that just what if we print more money? Don't we get more rich? And everyone is like, right. No. And then they do it anyway.
The biggest bill that Vietnam has is 500,000.
Oh my fucking god! Yeah, someone decided printing more money was a good idea. It's never a good idea.
Nope.
Well, I mean they were.
But Swedish crowns is about $1 is about 8 crowns, I think. But then you're also gonna have to put in the factor that we are 9 million people, so it's not that bad of a value.
Yeah. The the difference between the two is a little bit easier to understand than $20,000.
Oh yeah, there just happens to be a vice and a saw there for her. How convenient for plot.
Suspend disbelief, goddammit.
Of course.
I love this look. I love her look in general when
Just
she gets the
a nice simple leather jacket, now a black eye patch, not that cute like pinky peach colored one.
And she had the red one too. I mean,
It looks like
this guy really
shooter.
gave her some good accessories.
She looks like a school shooter.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely see that now.
Poor shotgun.
But yeah, when she was handing over the money earlier in the movie, it was just like the most massive bills I've ever seen. It's just like, who designed that? That's fucking ridiculous.
I think it is because in Sweden it was called. It's always been called crowns since at least 1800. But we also call them riksdaler, which means
I wanted to call it the kroner. What country uses kroners?
we use kroners. Well, we, Norway, and Denmark use kroners.
Ah, okay. So I was actually pretty close in my thought procedure here.
Yeah, and that's because we are monarchies. So they decided that, of course, we're gonna trade in monarchy. Like the Swedish national symbol is the 3 crowns. So, like our hockey team is not named Sweden; it's named the 3 crowns. So, yeah, everything is centered around the monarchies.
Dude,
That's what happened.
What
That's what happens when you have 1,000 years of wars. It's like
damn Vikings. What fucking gauge is that shotgun? That does not look like a 12 gauge. That looks much larger.
that looks like a. Is that an 8? Do we have 8 gauge in Sweden? It looks like a Swedish shotgun. It looks like a Carl Gustav.
Like when she there's a shot of her like loading it pretty close up, and the shells look massive.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cute little gun.
It's an 8 gauge.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So, because that did not look like a 12 gauge. It was way too big.
Yeah.
Way too big.
I just googled it and I found the exact shotgun.
So when she was that little handgun she had, it just reminded me of the scene from Pineapple Express when Red, you know what scene I'm thinking about, Ray? When Red had the little handgun in his hand and he goes, "I used to carry this when I used to be a prostitute." We have Ari in chat. She goes, "This actress is pretty." We've been talking about how absolutely gorgeous. Her name is Christina Lindberg. How absolutely, like, just unbelievably breathtaking she is, looks-wise. And acting-wise, despite the fact she doesn't speak a word in this entire movie. And she's just mind-blowing. Like, I don't understand it.
Oh yeah, the bolt action rifle she was shooting before. That's also a Swedish Carl Gustav M38 Swedish Mauser.
Well, I would assume everything in this movie is Swedish. I mean, I think it was filmed somewhere outside of Stockholm.
Yeah, but I'm kind of more amazed that they had 1973. Maybe they could have military weapon because the Mauser is army issue.
Well, she was being trained by some army guys, and all those guns were locked in like an army shed, and she broke into it.
Yeah, but that uniform was not Swedish though. But that is the only thing I reacted to.
Uh-oh, Stephen King about to get it. Oh, Jordy, you lunkhead. Look, that is fucking Stephen King. Tell me that is not fucking Stephen King. All right, and
Oh
if
man, I forgot the excessive slow motion they used.
That looks like a coked up Stephen King. Yeah.
and I'm sorry, but if you got shot at that close range with an 8-gauge shotgun, your head would be it would be eviscerated.
Not only shot in the head, but also shot in the
The
spine,
back.
I guess.
I mean, even being shot by 8-gauge shotgun at that range would you need dental records.
Yeah, if you could even find your teeth.
Yeah, that's unless she's firing a slug, I guess. No, that would also explode the head.
Yeah. I love this scene.
Like how she has, fuck you.
She gives 0 fucks.
What car is that?
I don't
Technically,
know.
she gave many, but
it almost at first it almost looked like a Volvo P1800, but it's not.
No, it's not a Volvo. I'm thinking it's probably a French car. I mean, it could be I'm not overly familiar, but it could be a Vauxhall or a Citroen. But it's definitely not a Volvo. It could be a Saab of some sort.
No, that's not it. No, it's not a P1800 at least.
There was still a half an hour of this movie. I can't believe it. This movie actually really goes by fast. But then, every once in a while, you look to see how much longer is left, and it's like, how is this possible?
Yeah, it's kind of impressive for movies in the 70s to be this long.
Usually, a movie like this, a grindhousey type of movie, will run between 70 and 90 minutes. This is very unusual for a grindhouse movie.
Yeah, she is. Oh my god, an old payphone.
Every person that gets killed, there's this big slow motion sequence. I remember the first time we watched it, we were just busting balls on it.
I like how the two on the left and the right were gone. The guy in the middle was still mid drink, and it looked like he was really continuing his drink as he was getting shot.
Do you know how important beer is?
Yeah, man.
That's just how we do it here. Oh, I'm getting shot. I better finish the beer.
Oh my god, I know who this director is.
Do you?
It's Zack Snyder.
Mic drop. Nobody say anything else. This commentary is done.
Oh my god.
Then again, the background isn't fully animated, so I'm not 100%.
And there's no missing mustaches.
And I love the old beer cases. Damn.
I know. I like that too. It's a nice aesthetic.
Yeah.
I heard they were going to digitally erase this guy's beard, but they didn't have enough money.
How many cigarettes are in there?
Well, this is the 70s where cancer didn't exist yet.
Yeah.
It's like one of those, I guess, a jelly bean count in a jar.
Yeah, my dad told me that they rode around in the cars. They didn't even pull down the window and they smoked in them with cigarette smoke all over the car.
Oh my god. This guy has a Hans Gruber-ish vibe to him.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
He really does.
What is that red thing?
I don't know.
Is
It looks.
that a stapler?
I don't know if it's a stapler or a hole puncher or. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
I will be right back.
Yeah.
Every time that they show him at this desk, it is like the most uninspired shot. Oh, like it's terribly framed. Oh, has a horrible background to it, and he has no desk clutter aside from like four things.
Oh,
Like there's no personality to that desk at all.
It looks like a college movie. Like, you know, some students are gonna do a film project, and this is what they had.
Pretty much, they're like, we got a desk in this room. Instead of like moving it out of the room, we'll just stage a bunch of scenes here.
This scene is in Stockholm, I think.
Oh yeah,
That's Sergels Torg. Sergels Torg. It's a square in Stockholm famous for drug use.
ah,
You got a big staircase where a lot of drug people sit, you know, to sell drugs. And you always have a lot of cops there, just standing waiting for someone to pass something over.
interesting. The more you know. And it's very fitting given the scenes coming up, like with these shady ass people trying to sell shit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's obviously a reason they choose that place to film.
Kind of crazy that nothing's really changed either in that many years.
Nope. It's basically the same. You can go down there. There's always a cop car, and then you have those black and white tiles, and there's a Burger King where that guy stood, you know, by the pillar.
Yeah.
There is a Burger King, and yeah, outside of that you have this huge staircase, and it's always filled with junkies.
Nice, man. We're gonna have to send you on like a set visit of this for this film. So you're gonna go find the locations, and I think only like Bates and I will probably be the only people that care. But hey, why not? They're like, oh, thriller, cool picture, location visit. All right.
But yeah,
that's cool,
Västra
I guess.
Hallen. It says Västra Hallen on the wall. Yeah, so that's Stockholm. I know where this place is.
See, this is why we're excited to bring you along. You're like pointing out different locations and giving us some like freaking behind the scenes info.
Oh man, I had to piss like a racehorse.
Hey, you just missed some good factoids from our Swedish buddy here.
Oh, I'm sorry. A big old fucking Moscow Mule and 2 beers really did me in.
Well, I know where this location is. I have been here.
I love that those empty boxes were just so conveniently placed behind that guy.
I love. Is she like super fast or something? Because all the guys' brains stopped working.
No, she's just been training just for this.
Because he could have shot her easily. Like,
The fuck is that gun? Was that like a German Luger?
yeah, it was Luger. Come on, you don't bring a Luger in 1970. Like, what the fuck?
Why? Their
God.
penetration power was ridiculous.
Well, so was the 8-gauge shotgun, but it didn't blow anybody's head off.
8-gauge Carl Gustav.
Excuse me.
Oh god, an old cop car. Well, we did use Volvos, but they're painted like the old Swedish ones.
Hopefully you guys upgraded the sirens.
Yeah. Why did it go through police? Why did it go through all the work to get a car Make it sound like the Swedish cop cars are painted, but not a Volvo.
Anybody else getting Blues Brothers vibes watching this car drive around?
A little bit. One of my favorite things about 70s exploitation and grindhouse flicks is that the color of the blood is all the same. It is not written. You can tell it is not real blood because real blood is not that color.
Yeah, the classical.
At least it's not pink like in Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, but it straight up looks like the same blood from like I Drink Your Blood and shit.
Like they accidentally spilled an entire.
Wait,
can of
I was about to say, she just kicked that cop and then it like cut away and now it's a slow motion kick of the cop.
Oh, yeah.
It's I like the old Swedish cop uniform. It's a little fashy, but
kick him in the nuts.
It's an overall.
Yeah, right in the nuts.
They kind of look like Mussolini boys, not Swedish cops.
I think we were given those like belt arm straps as like as patrols, like crossing patrols in elementary.
Yeah, we were in elementary school here, but in like Europe and a lot of the European countries, that's like was super common. Like I know it was common in England.
Yeah, and then we went and made a mockery of it. Give it to the kids.
Like she hit this guy twice, and he just spit up like a pint of blood.
Yeah.
And it is just one massive string of blood. Oh my god, it looked like a giant red worm coming out of his mouth.
At least it was another black
sludge from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, like sludge.
I kind of wonder why these cops came in unequipped. Like they just, yeah, we're gonna do this.
It's a girl.
Like they didn't even question her. They just saw her sitting there and just immediately tried to take her into custody.
This guy is dead from one of these punches.
Look at this guy. He's like not even looking at her as he's going to. She just matrix. Oh my god, that's just like straight up Neo.
Was that it?
She is the one.
Yeah.
Look at this guy's face. Is he like even into the scene? Oh, he's still. This one's still spitting up blood. Oh my god. What?
This cop is dead as fuck.
Here comes a Stone Cold Stunner.
Oh my god. RKO out of nowhere.
Oh, they had guns.
Hip toss, hip toss.
These are the worst cops ever.
Like I almost want to put Benny Hill over this. Like just like speed up the scene a little bit.
Look at him die.
Dude, like these cops would have like fit in perfectly like in the Dukes of Hazzard or something. They're just so useless.
Yeah, they're almost like the cops in Pippi Longstocking. Like it's.
Yeah, you're on your own on that one.
You won't get that reference, I know, but
like these cops would have fit in perfectly as like foot soldiers for the Shredder in the 1990s Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Yeah, that is a better reference.
He finally pulls out his gun and does nothing, and it's useless against One Eye. Good old One Eye.
These guys are like stormtroopers in training. They're just terrible.
It's like every one of like Skeletor's fucking henchmen from He-Man. Just awful.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of is. Holy shit.
This slow-mo scene is still going on.
Oh my god.
And gentlemen, we still have 21 minutes left.
This is why the movie is so long. The last 25 minutes is all in slow motion. How much blood is coming out of his mouth?
I just noticed that.
He must have bit his tongue, because when I bite my tongue, legit, that's how much blood comes out of my mouth. He died as he lived. with his head in a box. Dude, she's just straight up walking out like she was the fucking Punisher. Oh my God, that's who she is! Dude, she is the
Pretty
fucking,
much, yeah.
she is the female Punisher, and I am like even more attracted to her now. I was straight up attracted to her before, but now it's just, dude, she is just militant as fuck.
She ditches the incognito car and straight up takes the police car.
Oh my God, that is
because
fucking
she
metal.
She can use the sirens and drive against red. That's why.
There you go.
Ah, man. One of my favorite things about 70s cars are fender mirrors, man. I love fender mirrors.
I have driven on this road. Doesn't look like that now, but
You
Like,
called it, though.
Do you live by there?
no.
Wow.
I live 3 hours from there. You
Oh,
know,
that's not-
in Sweden, everything is in great distance in Sweden. So,
No, it's all close.
like when I was last week, when I was getting my other car, I drove for 3 hours to get it and then 3 hours home. So, I mean, it's basically almost all of Sweden looks like this. It's just forest.
That's kind of cool, though. I like that. Wow, that guy does not respect the police at all.
No, he's like, fuck you, bitch.
Fuck the whoa! All right. Okay.
Well, this was the 70s,
What the
man.
fuck? Why did that car explode?
All right, so you're a few seconds ahead of us.
Sorry.
It's like it ran over a smoke bomb.
She just got mayhem on the road. Holy shit! That someone just died. Oh no!
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
She's doing folk race on the fucking.
Well, Ray told us earlier that during this movie she didn't even know how to drive a car. That she was steering, but like a police officer was actually doing all the shifting and pedal work. Something like that. I don't know how that even works, but
Yeah, what I've read is like they were on the bottom of the floor, like hunched over for those scenes.
Yeah, so they were like, "Step on me, baby."
I assume for the passenger, but
Oh no! What?
look how just
Really?
stoic. Look how stoic
Holy
she looks.
shit.
I love that he's a few seconds ahead because he's preparing us for insanity. I love it.
It just blows up. I don't think cars work that way in real life.
Especially not since the engine of the Beetle is in the back.
So he's only come in halfway during this movie, and it seems like he is really enjoying it. Nothing like a Swedish classic.
This is
Just-
great.
I love that every car blows up.
It's worse than American movies.
I guess every car was built like a Ford Pinto. All you needed was a slight tap in the rear end, and it would blow up.
Now, this is like some Nintendo music right here.
No, this is like
Yeah.
Commodore 64 music. If you
Pretty much.
if you have ever played the Friday the 13th Commodore 64 game, it sounds like exactly like this music.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit on the title screen of the first Zelda game.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that one is really,
But it all goes away once you put the car in park.
yeah.
Yeah, of course. Come on.
She's gonna go out and she's gonna.
Dude, she is the female Punisher, man. I never thought about it before. I've seen this movie like 5-6 times, and
Is she gonna just go up and shoot some poor goat or something? But
no, she's a female on a mission.
Yeah,
It's to
okay,
kill
right.
Hans Gruber.
Except like maybe 10 people she killed on the road. Those had nothing to do with anything.
Hey, casualties of war, man.
Absolutely.
oh, it's not slow motion.
Not yet. We still have 15 minutes to go.
And I love her jacket. Like, it is like Punisher meets Blade and just like complete badass.
Okay, the audio was in slow motion.
No, it's not slow motion. It's just distorted.
Yeah.
And like massively echoed.
That's a take on it.
I like it. It really gives the movie and the scenes just a lot of extra character. Like, you do it now and it's hokey. You do it in the 70s in an exploitation flick, and it's like, this is fucking awesome.
I love how she did a run by with a fucking shotgun. That's
She is
At
a
least she
beast.
looked badass doing it.
yeah. It was like this is an automatic roll. I don't know who she's shooting at, but
Man, she should have won a fucking Academy Award in 73 and 74 for this shit.
I like how she put on the sirens.
She's
That's like a warning that the shark is on your ass. Good old Gruber ain't getting away. God, I hope this blows up.
What the fuck? It would seem that if you look at it, that everyone that drive cars in Sweden in the 70s had a problem with authority.
that fucking guy just stuck his tongue at
like
my
is that
God,
the
I love
cops?
it.
Fuck the cops. And like, everyone is like that.
He is like,
It was great.
he looks like really like legit relaxed after just nearly being blown away for
Yeah,
sticking
maybe
his
he
tongue
should-
out
maybe-
at a cop car.
Maybe he shit himself.
Who does
So-
that?
Yeah.
That might be one of my all-time favorite scenes.
It's like, yeah, it's like I said, no one gives a fuck about the cops.
I like it.
apparently.
It's Wilford Brimley again.
Yep.
Like young Wilford Brimley. I'm Wilford Brimley, and I got diabetes.
He hand delivered the testing supplies back then.
And there's young John Stamos. Actually, he looks like a mixture between young John Stamos and the dude who looks like Rowan Atkinson from Day of the Dead.
Wait,
Very
he doesn't
true.
look like that one. He looks like the guy that looks like. Oh my god. She really likes the sirens. I think she's empowered by them or something like that.
She's empowered by everything. She is just a monster in this movie. And I like the string on the bottom of the film,
Oh my
like right in the
God.
middle.
Yeah.
You see it?
I love her handbag has shotgun shells casing. Like,
Yeah. Oh, dude, it is so awesome.
that is some like DC comic shit.
What is that red thing hanging from the door?
I don't know.
There's like
Don't
a
ask.
big red lever from the door.
Probably to bash a skull of a moose in if you hit it.
You have moose in Sweden?
Moose, yeah.
I didn't know you had moose up there.
I'm almost driven right into one. So,
Yeah, well, you would have been dead.
yeah. Yeah. We have interesting fact. We have all cars that are sold in Sweden has to pass a moose test, which is basically how they fend if you drive straight into a moose.
So that's why Volvos are fucking tanks that can't be destroyed. They've passed the moose test.
Yep.
We're American. We just think that moose exist in Canada. That's about it.
They're mythological creatures to us.
They
Hard.
are a little bit bigger in Canada, I think, but But yeah, we have a like moose hunting is like a people's sport. Basically, 1 week in October, everyone just goes out in the forest and shoot.
Moose hunting is popular up in in the northern territories by us, mainly because they're more of a nuisance.
Here's just a thing that we do. Like, first week of October, let's go out hunt some moose.
First week in
Even-
October here, all
even-
we do is pick pumpkins, eat apples, and drink Marzens.
Even the king goes out and hunt moose. He has his own royal land.
Oh my God, you're still a monarchy?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I don't know why that's awesome, but it is.
I think all Scandinavian countries are the monarchies. Norway, Denmark is.
Isn't Finland Scandinavian?
No.
Huh. I thought it was.
It's part of the Nordic. It's not part of Scandinavia.
Oh, Nordic and Scandinavia. Sorry, I didn't realize they were so different.
No, it's very important when you talk to Finnish people because we like to bash each other countries. So it's like first a Swede comes in, and then a Dane comes in, and the Swedes start bashing the Dane. And then a Norwegian comes in, join the Swede and bash the Dane. And then the Finn comes in, then the Dane joins the Swedish and Norway and bash the Finns. That's how we do it.
Thought you were all the same people. They're all whiter than white and speak funny languages.
And one interesting part of the history is that all these countries except for Denmark has been Swedish. So, like, we had Finland, Norway, half of Europe, because apparently we like war.
Yeah, you're all fucking Viking countries. Of course you like war.
we had peace in 200 years, but before that, like 800 years of fighting Danes.
Coming to the United States, we haven't had peace ever. We just like fighting with everybody. Doesn't matter if it's our war or not.
Yeah, your country is about as old as we had peace.
Yeah, we've probably fought like twice as many wars.
No. But yeah, you're still kind of warmongering. But like, I would say, how people say like how Europe is, all the same, all friends.
Put the gun down and we'll talk. Because she said a word in the entire movie, right?
And then she does it.
I love the
That
ADR.
was stupid.
Did he get shot in the balls? No, in the. Ow!
She set up a Roman candle booby trap. Oh,
Nice.
right in the
She's
kneecap.
Yeah, she's like an IKEA version of.
Look at that tomato sauce.
Beefy.
It looks like straight up like fucking Campbell's tomato soup poured all over his white disco pants.
Yeah.
God, I love 70s movies so goddamn much. I want to make a podcast. I just want to like just talk about 70s movies all day. It would make me so happy.
We need to do like an episode that's just that.
Yeah, let's do that.
And she's not done with them. That's what I love about.
Yeah, she's not done. This is going somewhere.
It's going somewhere I like.
I was gonna say how how people are like all European.
This bitch got a horse. She is the baddest bitch ever.
Everyone says like Europeans are friends. I just want to say that we killed each other as up to the Second World War. That's the first time we stopped murdering off each other. We have killed each other since year like 500 after Christ was born.
Crusades and stuff.
Yeah, that's like what we do. We're really good at killing each other. What the fuck?
This is like the greatest scene ever.
Oh my god. This just keeps getting better and better.
How did this movie not win every award like available? There is
I
nothing.
know where Jason Eisner got the idea in Hobo with a Shotgun.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it.
Yeah, to say the least.
I wonder if he can hold his breath for a long time.
Is she gonna rip off his head?
I mean, I hope so.
I mean, that's not a straight up horse. That looks like just like a big pony.
Yeah, it looks like a pony.
I don't know if you guys have ponies or horses in Sweden.
We have both.
Oh.
But
I mean, it doesn't matter.
That looks like a big pony.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look big enough to be a horse, but it doesn't look small enough to be a pony. It's something in between, but it doesn't matter. It's probably fucking strong as fuck.
Yeah.
It's just so poetic, man. This movie just plays out so poetically. I love it, and I just love how calculated she is, and just how.
Oh yeah, she's gonna rip off the head.
Yeah, baby, I dig it. Just
reminds
out of
me-
reach.
It reminds me of the Swedish punishment that you put one horse on each limb, like one horse on each leg and one horse on each arm, and just let them walk away, so that you rip the person apart. Yeah, we did that.
The most humane of executions.
Yeah.
Hey, I wish we would bring back public stoning, man. For like, I'm not kidding, man. For like pedophiles and rapists and shit, bro. Are you kidding me? I think people would.
We also had a punishment where you had the wheel, and you just like break the bones of a person by fitting it in to the wheel. We were really good at killing people.
And so it would seem.
Everyone is like, oh, progressive, tolerant Sweden, and back to fucking murdering people right and left.
Alright, can I just point out that this soundtrack is inspired?
Yeah.
Sure.
The way this scene is shot, and then
great.
on top of this soundtrack is inspired, and her reactions are just, man. It's you can tell she's satisfied, but she's just not like. She's still not there. She's not fixed. She's not healed. Oh, dude,
Yeah, it was necessary, but she took no joy in it.
Oh, that big red lever I saw earlier on the door was that stop sign.
Yeah, it's they held them out to. I was gonna comment on that.
That's what it was. Because you couldn't see it in the scene I saw, but when she just opened that door, then you could see it was a full stop sign. And she put the sirens back on. I love her.
Yeah, I love that. It's such a detail. Like she always goes with the sirens.
This movie, God, this movie needs
When in
so
Rome,
much.
you know?
It needs so much more exposure.
I mean, it does have a lot of things being exposed in it.
Yeah, and all of that could be tweaked out or tweaked differently. And man, like somebody needs to build up the balls and remake this movie and do it right. Like I think Tarantino could do it. I think, you know what? I think Tarantino would need like a strong female kind of like co-director too.
Alright, yeah, no, I could agree. I think he's the only one that's really capable of capturing the essence of this movie. And because he's just one giant film nerd. You know, he's obsessive over this stuff. But um, I definitely agree with you about having a co-director. Maybe somebody as strong as Sally Mink was when she was still alive as an editor.
This
Yeah.
movie has so much going for it, and it's so powerful that it could do wonders in the world we live in today. And I love the fact that credits don't exist in Sweden. that the movie,
Everything is it's publicly owned, so it's like we don't need credits. This is for everyone.
the movie just fades to black, and not one credit pops up, and it
We
just
did have a full slate of them in the beginning, though.
we did.
Yeah, but it's like instead of doing it the American way where credits never fucking end, it's like we just no done. I kind of feel like they were cutting this movie and then done, and it was like, yeah, we're done with this movie now. Just get it out.
You get a lot of that with these type of movies where it just like flat out ends. You know, like last person's dead and boom, end.
It's like we're done, guys, we're done. We made it to the end. Dead, it's dead and gone. And now I'm gonna start on my next movie. So bye. Like, no, but yeah, the parts I saw because I overslept, but I really liked. This was genuinely good.
There's really not much bad about this movie aside from some of the excessive slow motion, which I get that they thought added more to the scenes and added like that extra oomph to some of these scenes, and I get that, you know, especially back in 1973. But aside from the overusage of slow motion, this movie is like well beyond its time. You know, again, it's an exploitation revenge movie. You know, female is raped and put into prostitution, you know, seeks her revenge. And we get that in other movies. We get that in I Spit in Your Grave and Last House on the Left and stuff. But it's not the same sort of dark underbelly world as this movie. Like, this movie really feels like it hits a spot where it like, this shit just, it feels real. You know, again, in the first half of the movie. The second half of the movie, not so much. As much as I would love the second half of this movie to be more realistic than it is, I don't think it is. But the first half is strong. It's powerful. You know, it's.
I like how they handle the character. Like, she doesn't say a lot, but
She's mute.
She still has great character arc. Like, and I really like the small details, like the sirens that she always always uses the sirens. That has some comedic effect, but it also gives, you know, the character her, you know, personality in a way. Like, of course I'm gonna use the sirens if I haven't. Like,
yeah, it's like it's a cop car. Why wouldn't I put them on?
yeah, exactly. So, and it adds a lot to her, you know, dimension. Like, it adds those small details. I think adds more than maybe people realize.
A little bit of humanity. Like,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
she's not just a stone cold, you know, killer out for revenge. You know, there is personality there. Like,
You could also interpret it as innocence. Think about this. If you were a kid and maybe riding in a cop car for fun, what is the one thing you would want to do as a kid?
Put on the sirens.
Exactly. Right? Right? So it's almost, in a sense, like almost a sense of innocence, which she's sort of lost with whatever the fuck happened in the beginning of the movie. I still don't understand it, but the beginning of the movie sort of, you know, signifies that she lost some of her innocence to something. So this was, in a way, to kind of capture that back. You know, her putting on sirens in a cop car.
Yeah.
What kid wouldn't love doing that?
I mean, I loved it because, and then when she was driving, she was like, all right. So one thing, people in Sweden during the 70s did respect the authority. Like in this movie,
Nobody
they
did.
see a cop car, they see a cop car, and they're like, "Yeah, fuck you, cops." And it's like, "Yeah, okay." And well, she isn't a cop, but they can't know that she's like because they didn't see her. Like that truck driver, he just puts out his tongue, like
That was so weird.
like why? Why would he do that? Like I also like the fact that he actually blocks the road for the cop. Like it's some kind of anarchist action. It's just like, yeah, no, I'm gonna let that guy get away. Or it's weird, but I like it. So,
Yeah, this movie has so much going for it, more than what people would think. Especially, you look at the cover for the movie, and then you look at the name of the movie, or the names of the movie, because it goes by two names. It goes by Thriller: A Cruel Picture, or it's also known as They Call Her One Eye. And you look at the cover of the movie, and it's this chick with an eye patch holding a shotgun, and it's just like so out there, so far fetched.
I just want to say that the chick on the cover is definitely not her. Like, that's not the same girl.
No, it is. No, that is
Is it?
100% Christina Lindberg.
I don't think it. I thought the picture. Wait. Oh, I was sorry. I was looking at the one you tweeted out. With that entertainment, that picture. It is her, but it's doesn't look.
I think like more of an artistic. I think it was a part of the poster. If I remember.
Yeah, it looks like the way like DC Comics might have painted her or whatever.
Yeah, it was on the original poster,
Yeah.
and back in
what?
Yeah.
No, you cut out there right there.
Oh, back in the glory days where they actually put artists on posters and hand painted everything, So
Yeah.
obviously there's some reservations taken in the poster part. But if you're looking at the overlay itself on right here on YouTube, that's definitely her.
Oh wait, I found oh my god, I found a Swedish poster for. Wait, it's called Thriller: A Grim Film.
Yep, that's one of the titles. I believe they call it One Eyes.
And it says like the first Swedish film to ever be totally forbidden by censorship, now in an American version.
Sounds about right.
So,
I read that it was not the first movie, but it's like they obviously baked that into their advertising campaign. I mean, the earliest movies being banned, that inspired intrigue, that inspired people wanting to seek out these movies and see them all the more. I mean, take for example, yeah, exactly. But take for example, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre with the based on a true story deal. Those lines banned or based on a true story, they sell more movies than anything. And later films down the road just only relied on those fucking marketing ploys, and sadly, it just kind of fizzled out because the movies just never lived up to the hype, like we were talking about earlier.
I just want to say that she still does movies.
Yeah, very, very minimally though.
Yeah,
I mean, she does have some credits, but they're all like walk-ons.
Yeah, she has one that is to be announced called The Bee Farmer.
Well, she does occasionally do conventions, and I'm hoping that we do get a chance to meet her one day. I really want to meet her, and
yeah, we desperately need to start working on Dave or somebody at Chiller to get her back over.
You mean Dave at Monster Mania? I don't know anybody at Chiller.
Dave, or you could contact Chiller via email. So, I think she'd be more likely to do a Chiller than Monster Mania. Dave doesn't seem to bring in a lot of those old stars too much.
Yeah, I mean she's 69, but
she has a couple more flights left in her. Come on, get her over here. You bring her in August. Track her down for.
Yeah, that one. I mean, that's not hard. But
Yeah, I mean, she's
That's not creepy.
she's your people.
And you guys all live within 3 hours of each other, so just make it happen, buddy.
maybe she moved to the northern part of Sweden. Then we're talking 25 hours.
Well, how long is it going to take you to get here?
8.
Exactly. So suck it up and just take the 25-hour drive and bring us our star, my friend.
I'm just showing up at the door like, yo, when I go to the USA, come.
There are 2 Americans that really want to meet you. So you're coming with me in the bag, lady.
Yeah, exactly.
She's going to be your carry-on.
Oh, she's a journalist now.
Yeah, she's had an interesting career. Like, I mean, just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I believe she even made like a cooking television, not a show, but like a video. it's strange, you know.
God, that makes me love her more.
Yeah, apparently she's a big fan of. Oh my god, I need to translate whatever the fuck that is. Oh wait.
Translate from your language or ours, because I know what we do to our language.
From mine to yours.
Thank you.
Yeah. So all right. So she's very interested in mycology, which is the study of mushrooms.
Oh, I love her even more. I love mushrooms. God.
Okay, wait, hold on. What kind of mushrooms are we talking about? I know what kind.
Yeah, all kinds of mushrooms.
I met like Bates interested in certain mushrooms. I might be interested in other kinds.
Yeah, she's interested in it's the basically mycology is the entire field of just mushrooms, so all kinds of them. Yeah, that's a very specific field.
Yeah, how does one get into mushrooms? How what piqued her interest?
Well,
to the point where she's just like.
Wait. Oh, right. Here we go. In 1993, she produced a 20-minute long instruction movie on how to pick mushrooms. It was called Christina's Mushroom School.
Now I know what I'm getting autographed when I meet her.
I'm gonna bring her a giant portabella. She's gonna. I'm gonna have her autograph my portabella.
Didn't you want somebody else to autograph some food too? Foggy.
She's.
Oh, I wanted Foggy to autograph an avocado for me.
Yes.
Since 2006, she goes to different film festivals and film conventions and meet young. Citation needed, by the way, on that one.
I don't think she realizes. Well, maybe she does now, but I don't think she realized maybe like 10 years ago that there are like fans of this movie out there, people who absolutely adore this movie, and especially now, man. Again, watching this movie in 2019.
Yeah, apparently, it did inspire Tarantino to Kill Bill. So,
yeah, that was a big one when it came out. That like he was really into this film and took part of it for inspiration. At one point, I even heard that he was attached to potentially direct this as a remake. So that's interesting that Bates brought that up before. But when he mentioned about this movie, it kind of started taking on a life of its own, and then the Synapse release of the movie with the red and the yellow version. You know, I mean, found an entirely new audience, and it's still strong today. You know, like a lot of people know this movie.
Yeah, she's in 1975. She was tested out as a singer in a band, but her voice wasn't good enough to produce a CD. Well, LP.
I always bring this up at a lot of these commentaries, but isn't it so bizarre that a movie like this was made back in the day, and she kind of moved on with her life at that point, and here it is, 2019, and we're sitting there picking it apart. You know, a movie that like may have changed her life in some way, but like, who would have thought it would have had the life that it has, you know, and still has, leading up to this point all these years later.
You
I
know,
just found a Swedish word I don't know.
that's comforting. Um, I hope that I do get a chance to meet her one day, and I would love to ask her for an interview because there are so many things I'd love to talk to her about regarding this film and only this film because this is the only piece of work that of hers that I know. But I feel like when you do a piece of work like this movie, you don't need anything else in your resume to really set you apart from from everything else in the cinematic world. This movie really does stand on its own in a unique field, in a unique way, in a unique world, and it's hard for anything else to even come close to touching it.
I mean, it would appear she sells the movie. Um, but something interesting. I love her as a person because everything she does is so fucking weird. Like like everything, you know, if you put it together, she's like everywhere. Like she's into mushrooms. She's a journalist. She's a photo model. She's an animal rights activist. She's a singer. She's well, she owned her own paper. She did.
She's my
Yeah,
hero.
that's right. She actually if I read somewhere that she had an aviation magazine. Like she's
Yeah,
into aviation. Like she has such a vast interest.
wait. do, 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 do. After the creator of that aviation magazine, Lindbergh became, you know, publisher of it. And it's like you're not even a pilot, dude.
She
Like,
can't even drive a car. She is amazing.
yeah, she's great because everything is. The more you read about her, the more you're like, what? All right.
Sh-
Uh, like, I especially like the idea that she's into mushrooms, but that is not that is not really weird in Sweden because that's kind of a big thing here, mushrooms, because you're allowed to go out in the forest and pick mushrooms for free. You know, the the owners of the land can't do shit about it. So basically, that's into law that we can trespass on people's, you know, land.
You got a little bit of
And
an anarchist in your voice now. Like
yeah,
fuck you and my mushrooms.
My mushroom.
yeah, but really, there is a cultural thing where you never speak about your mushroom place. Like you have a specific place where you pick mushrooms. Like let's say I'm gonna see if I can.
I love this. Like the first rule of Mushroom Club is you don't
Don't talk about
mushrooms.
Mushroom Club.
Yeah, that is exactly how it works. Like one popular mushroom to pick here is chanterelle. I think it's pronounced like that. And then it's a food mushroom. But if you find a good place for those, you don't tell anyone that. No one like. So if you ask a Swede, but oh, so where do you go pick mushrooms? I don't pick mushrooms. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't pick mushrooms.
And I'm sure that is a conversation that is held all the time in Sweden. Where do you pick mushrooms? I don't pick mushrooms. Fuck you and your mushrooms.
No, that was so funny. That's why it was so funny with racist asshole because he like said at one time this is what Sweden used to be about or something, and he had a picture of a mushroom, and then someone photoshopped him into a mushroom, and it was just it was the dumbest shit. It was like it's still about that, you dumb fuck. We're all still fighting over mushrooms. That's if a civil war were to break out, it would be over mushrooms or moose hunting. It's like there's nothing else. Like that is what would end this nation. Like,
I'm starting to think that it's not Christina Lindberg that's interesting, but the Swedish people in general. You guys are almost alien just listening to this.
like my mom and dad lives now, and I was like, oh, have you picked those mushrooms yourself? But and she said like, yeah, why? I was like, I don't know. Where did you pick them? Somewhere.
Wow, even mom won't tell you.
I said like,
That's
I was like,
cold.
can't you just no? You might spread it around, and then I won't have my mushroom place.
Well, I'm not surprised that Swedish people are so interesting. I mean, after all, Squizgar from Death Clock was Swedish.
That's true. I mean, that's how Americans base our Swedens, just off of Death Clock.
No, but it's everything about Lindbergh is kind of interesting. But I think that's because she's so fundamentally Swedish, I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
it's close to home, and
yeah, she's like a caricature of it. Like no, none of you exists anymore, but here you are in the flesh, being exactly how I would describe a Swede. Weird, into mushrooms and aviation for some reason, which is kind of interesting since we have our own jet fighters. We don't buy jet fighters from others. We were like, no, we're gonna have our own. So we built them, and it's like, and she's both into aviation and mushrooms, and she's basically just how our nation views itself. We have jet
All right.
fighters and mushrooms.
So to put it lightly, she is quintessential Swedish. We get it.
Yeah.
That only makes me love her more. I'm so smitten by her. I am not smitten by many people, but Christina Lindbergh, I am 100% smitten. And I hope one day to meet her, at least meet her. If not, I would love to be able to sit down for like an hour and interview her and talk to her about her life and aspects of this movie and just so many things. I really think that she was an amazing actress for not speaking a single word. And it's just something that I think really needs to be explored a bit more for fans of this movie.
Actually, there's a documentary, a Swedish documentary.
About her?
Yeah.
Nice. We need to check into that.
Let's see. I'm gonna see if I can find the link for you to that one, because it should be texted.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up here. So, at the end of the day, this movie, I love this movie. This is probably one of the first times I've actually watched this movie mostly sober. There were a lot of scenes I don't remember seeing the first couple of times I watched it. But I think the first time I saw this movie, I did not see the red version. So
I think you did. If the first time was with me at Mike's house, then you did see the red version, and we were all plastered.
okay, yeah. No, that was definitely the first time we saw it. We saw it down in the dungeon, and
Down in the dungeon.
oh, I
Wasn't it like a New Year's Eve or something?
no, oh, was it New Year? Oh my God, I think you're right.
I think it was.
Because I think it was one of the nights where Mike decided to grab his flashlight and start looking for things behind his computer, if you know what I mean.
Yes, and I also think that's the night Anthony decided to walk home.
I just want to mention it quickly. I'm reading an article from 2015, and it says that she's making a comeback in the movie Cry for Revenge that is loosely based on Thriller. But I can't find it in her credits, so I don't know if the movie was made.
Could have been made under a different name.
Yeah, they might have changed the name.
Yeah, it would be. It would seem like there's some sort of loosely based remake of the movie. somewhere, and now I
Interesting.
want to find it.
Well,
Yeah.
to continue what I was saying, this is a fantastic movie through and through.
Yeah.
It is rough to watch in certain scenes for obvious reasons, but the overall message behind this movie is strong, and it's powerful, and it's empowering, and I love everything about it. And if I have to, at the end of the day, give this movie a rating, obviously from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, it is hard to sit here and watch this movie and rate this, especially with my love for this genre, the 70s exploitation and grindhouse genre.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to rate this, especially this movie, anything under like an 8.5.
Yeah.
And
something
the
like that.
and the only reason why it doesn't even get higher than 8.5 is because of the excessive slow motion. I feel like I'm watching a Zack Snyder film. And
we didn't get the Snyder cut of this movie yet. I mean, it's coming. It
Oh my
exists.
god! Don't start that shit. Don't.
sorry, guys.
Like, oh my god.
But
yeah, the half I watched since I overslept like a moron was really good. It was way better than I expected it to be. And
Well-
I have a little bit of a hard time with some 70s exploitation films. Not because I'm freaked out or anything, but because there's sometimes they're not coherent, and I mean, okay.
There was a little bit of this movie that kind of falls into that realm in the very, very beginning. But we already decided we're going to bring it down for Monster Mania in August, and we'll all watch it in the room together.
Yeah.
So you'll get the full picture. But
Yeah.
watching this movie for one of my first times fully sober, you really, really appreciate everything that went into this film. Very much not like any other 70s exploitation film in a lot of aspects. I mean,
yeah. Also, now I want a cop car.
And better have working sirens. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it just happens that I looked up the law on that, and it's totally legal for me to have a car that says police, like, and everything, as long as I don't use the.
Right,
So I can't.
We're not gonna have a Swedish Ted Bundy on our hands. So awesome.
what are your final thoughts over here, Mungus?
I almost don't want to give this a number rating because, like, I feel like the grindhouse exploitation genre kind of lives on its own island where they just basically banned ratings. Like the movies are to be judged on their own merit, and there's so many things that factor into whether it's a good movie or it has the potential to be a good movie or it has great ideas that just didn't have the money. And a lot of these films are exactly like that. They're not movies that are made to be bad. They're not movies that are made to have scenes where like a guy sticks his tongue out at a cop car. We laugh about that stuff, but in the moment, these things were made with like the intention to kind of like get a point across or to ultimately make a great movie at the end of the day, given what they're working with. And what this film kind of accomplished in doing so on that budget with a relative newcomers crop of actors, it accomplished big. And there's like I see this thing as just kind of like setting a foundation for an entire, had to like the circumstances been a little bit different. It could have set the foundation for like an entire popular genre of film, but it was made in a foreign country, had tons and tons of title changes, probably a ton of re-edits, the bannings and stuff. And it's just kind of like a victim of its own circumstances. And looking at it all these years later, we mentioned earlier on about how if this movie was tweaked a little bit or given kind of like an avant-garde kind of artsy style, this thing could win an Oscar with the content that was put into it.
Without a
Like
doubt.
under an eye of like Tarantino and the very precise direction while still maintaining the strong empowered feeling that this movie kind of like just oozes. This thing could have been different in a different time and place. And like that's why I don't want to give it a rating, because it's so fucking powerful on certain levels, and it's so exploitation 1970s movie, and that's not a bad thing. Um, on many other levels, but if I was forced to, I'd probably have to go with like an 8. There are definitely things that I would have completely cut out. Pornographic scenes, despite making it very, very realistic and extremely uncomfortable. Because let's be honest here, none of them was shot in a flattering manner.
Well, it's also you're also shooting it on 70s film. I mean, you're not gonna get a.
Add in when I woke up, it was late, and just came in to watch the movie. The first thing I see is a dick. Like
exactly. That's why I think Tarantino says that the more powerful version of this movie is the yellow edition. It is not the American censored cut that was floating around for many, many years. It is the censored in terms of getting rid of the pornographic scenes that are relatively unnecessary. You don't need to show every fucking thing to.
No,
really
it's
make
more
it
awkward than anything.
Exactly. And
I mean, you're also talking about early 1970s film and camera technology. You're not going to get a flattering angle and lighting on a butthole, so.
No. Especially with a finger or two jammed in it. But that being said, it is there's many things that could have been taken out of the film and made it infinitely better. And I'm just glad that this thing exists, because all these years later it holds up really fucking well. And I know you said the latter half is a little bit unrealistic, but so was Tarantino killing Hitler in Inglourious Bastards. But what it was is empowerment, and it was also taking
determination too.
Yeah, exactly. Taking the matters into your own hand and having that determination to really obtain what you set out to do. And in this particular case, it was completely earned and justified. And by the end of it, with the rope around the dude's neck and him being buried under rocks, I mean, you couldn't ask for a fucking better picture perfect ending to the circumstances that she went through, and fuck, it's an impressive movie.
This movie reminds me of a sort of reminds me of a saying, but an altered version of that saying. And the saying is, when God gives you lemons, you make lemonade. That's the classic saying. Everybody knows that saying. Well, that saying was altered in a spoof video years and years ago. And the way they changed it was, when God gives you lemons, you find a new God. And motherfucker, she found a new God. she went brutal with it. And I love that about this film. More films need to take chances like this one. And again, we're talking 1973, all right? But still, this movie took chances. This movie went fucking well beyond some of the lines drawn on exploitation films, and it worked. It worked in almost every single aspect. And I think if filmmakers in general, took more chances, maybe not quite as out there as this one, but if they took chances instead of being afraid of what, maybe offending a certain group of people, or maybe what this group of people are going to say about me and my film, I think if they took those chances, they would be surprised and happy with the results that came out of it, because they're doing it out of love and admiration for just film in general and cinematography and cinema, and just paying homage to a a genre that is not forgotten, but to the point where it's lost, and it shouldn't be. You know, as I said in the very beginning of this episode, 70s exploitation and grindhouse flicks are not for everybody, but they do deserve to be seen by most people in some aspect, just because they represent a aspect of cinema that you're never gonna see anywhere else.
Well said, man. Well said.
Was it? Because I'm kind of drunk and I don't know if that all came out right.
Oh no.
No, okay. That's good.
So I would ask you, Stefan, what what your rating for the movie is, but you only saw like the last 45 minutes of it, so it's sort of not a fair comparison. But what was your overall thought of what you saw?
Like, I thought I saw a beautiful film. Like, you can tell what kind of love went into the writing of the movie. Like, what they wanted to do, maybe they didn't always pull it off as good as they thought they were, like with the slow motion and stuff like that. But it was really well made. And I don't want to put a number. I have stopped doing that. But it's if I were to put a number still, it would be an 8 or a 9.
You can't. You didn't see the whole film, so again, it's not a fair comparison.
But no, so the last half of the film, and that part was an 8. Like,
and the first scene you saw had penis in it, so I mean that tells you something.
Well, that's what the number rating was for. He said he stopped doing that for films, but not porn.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was a total 8 out of 10. That's but it's like what I saw. Like I'm gonna rewatch this tomorrow, like the entire movie, but I think I don't think it, like, maybe it gets 7 or something, a little bit lower, because I know how exploitation films usually are a bit wonky when it comes to being coherent. But
this one does a pretty good job. I gotta say, the very beginning it doesn't make any sense, but after that it folds out very well.
Yeah, I'd like to see an interpretation on that. The opening, I don't.
And I like your idea that she's basically the female Punisher.
Oh my God, she is.
That's like, she looks really great in this movie, and it's just, it was just fun to watch. The part I watched, it was just great.
Can I interject really quick? And
yeah.
I'm gonna say that, like, imagine if this thing was done again in a graphic novel. Like, it could have an entire life of its own in 2019 if somebody put a really cool, unique art style to it and basically made this film like her as the female Punisher. I think like a solo graphic novel could breathe quite a bit of life into it.
Yeah, I think that too.
Yeah, someone like Warren Ellis, I think, could really bring it to life.
I actually think it would make a game, like a pretty good video game, if you were to put it like let's say like the Walking Dead game.
It would just be the Grand Theft Auto with a check, basically.
Yeah, but I thought, like, if you inject a little bit more like choices of what to do, like in the Walking Dead,
like the Telltale games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are
I
incredible.
think that would work pretty fucking well with this movie, actually.
All right. Well, I think we've talked quite a bit about this movie, and I think that's gonna wrap it up for us tonight. We're approaching 3 hours here, so I just want to thank everybody who hung out with us tonight. If you watched the movie with us, thank you. If you just listened to the commentary, I hope maybe you got interested in this movie and you want to seek it out. And I suggest you do. It doesn't matter what version you see. The red version, as you've heard from us talking, is just mostly added hardcore porn. That's not a joke. That's really what the red version really has, and the yellow version cuts out pretty much all of that. if not most of it. But it doesn't matter what version you see. The movie really does stand on its own no matter what, and you'll get the full gist of it regardless of what version you watch. So hopefully you guys are at least somewhat interested in seeing this movie now if you didn't watch it with us tonight. So we want to thank you for hanging out regardless. I want to give a quick shout out to all of our new subscribers. We've had quite an influx of subscribers the last month, to the point of nearly 400 new subscribers. So thank you so much, man. That is crazy. No matter how you found us, I hope you like what you see on the channel so far. I hope you like what you see on the deadentertainment.com website so far. And I hope to see some new faces in the coming weeks on the Way of Life live podcast that we do most Wednesday nights here on this channel, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So guys, please click the little bells on our channel so you know when we go live on Wednesday nights and you can hang out with us. We discuss horror movies, horror news, and all kinds of geek and comic news because we like that shit. So thank you for that. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at DeadEntSite and follow us all here on Twitter. You can see my Twitter right here down below at Bates_MotelMT. You can check out Mungus, that's over there, at Ray Mungus, and our Swedish pal down below, Stefan. You can follow him at Tardulv. That's at TARDULV. You can also like us on Facebook, facebook.com/deadentertainment. So with all these new subscribers, we're hoping to bring you guys some more extra and new and fresh content. I do have some content kind of hanging out in the wings in the form of First Jason. I have not posted that up yet on the site. Their set that they did at NJ HorrorCon back in March. I've been kind of just holding on to that. We'll release that very soon for you guys if you're interested in listening to Ari Liam's band. So yeah, keep an eye out for that coming in the next couple weeks. And yeah, do you have anything to add? Any plugs over there, Mungus?
No, nothing crazy. Just everything he said.
Well, you, Stefan, you want to plug anything?
No.
I love the delay. Like, no. Like, you gotta think about that one.
All right. Well, make sure you check out his YouTube channel. You can find it through his Twitter handle, and he posts movie reviews, and he likes talking about ancient aliens and all kinds of ridiculous theories and all of that good, ridiculous crap. So if you're into that, definitely check out his channel. He's got some fun stuff over there. And you can also find my channel. I haven't streamed in like 2-3 weeks, but I usually stream video games and stuff. Standard shit, but it's fun stuff. So definitely check that out. So I think that's going to do it for us. As for their next live commentary, we might do one at the end of the month. I have the next movie picked. We're not going to disclose that yet. It is a more recent movie. And when I say more recent, I'm talking in the last 20 years. So it's not another 70s exploitation flick. It's actually an homage flick. And it's a really fun one that a lot of people, again, I don't think really know about, but it's a good one. We will disclose what the next movie is probably within the next 2 weeks, and we'll set a date for that one. But I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. It's a really fun flick, and I love it. And yeah, I think that's it. I think we've rambled on long enough. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. Much appreciated. Hope to see you. We should be back Wednesday night. We weren't live this past Wednesday. I had family stuff to attend to, but this upcoming Wednesday we should be back. And yeah, we'll get into some good stuff there. So thank you, Mungus. Thank you, Stefan, for joining late. And we will see everybody next week.